At the edge of Linlithgow Palace, the wall of St Michael's Parish Church makes for a great place to set a flask, preventing drink fall. One of the largest borough churches of the Church of Scotland, it dates back a good bit before the 12th century when it was already bustling. St Michael's has been arsoned, vandalised, storm-battered and rebuilt each time. I really am taken with architect Geoffrey Clarke's aluminium crown, fitted in 1964, colouring restored 2024. Mary Queen of Scots was baptised here. James IV met a mysterious old man who told him not to go to the Battle of Flodden. It's plainly obvious. His first clue should have been that it was called a battle. The second clue was mystery old man told him to pay no mind to the advice of women. Old man couldn't get none. Anyway, James listened to the mad owl misogynist and became the last British king to die in battle. In 1313, regular hay seller Willie Binney parked his cart here at the outer gate while caretakers Historic Environment Scotland tried to move it along. It was enough time for Willie's 7 sons to leap out of the hay pile and take this castle. So, future owners would wise up on the security. Mr. Robert Bruce Edward I, David II, Robert III, James I, Mary Gelders, James II, James III, James IV, Henry VI. I'm trying to do the football score in this tourist photobombing all my shots. Linlithgow was not really a fortress, essentially a pleasure palace, sort of like a Butlins for royals. Around 1537, James V added this fountain to the courtyard. Detailed stonework makes it one of my favourite features. As well as water, sometimes it would be loaded with wine. History does not recall more complicated fondues like chocolate or cheese, though in 2000 it had to be removed and restored, so probably. You can see it operate weekends in July and August, or just fantasize it for yourself. There's also birds everywhere, mad birds. Just listen.
Birds. The birds.
What is the bird law? Around the east side there's statues of the Pope, the Knight and labouring man, as noted by painted angels holding post-it notes with inscriptions. There's carvings at the window heads of the Royal Arms of Scotland.
Troll at the gate. Big troll. Look at the beauty of this.
This park is known as the Pale, and Linlithgow Loch beyond it, and you can see why those pre-born ordained hereditors took it as their Club 18 to 30. It's just stunning.
They're getting us shafted.
The shaft should be there. Don't know how far your light will go, but
Oh, not very far. Any idea how far down it goes? See previous figure.
There's mad echo in here.
Not much wriggle room, a bit of a drop.
Accies bought me a big coffee flask. You can hear it clinking all around the caverns. For a holiday home, Linlithgow sure has a strange number of prisons. One can only think the royals like to explore bondage and kink in their pleasure palace. HRM BDSM.
Pretty big ashtray.
Lot of long halls and stairs.
Ah, it's a labyrinth. Ah, hello. So I've just come up this rather convoluted spiral staircase out into this.
The Great Hall, or Lion Chamber, as the chaplain called it, is where a lot of the monarch's raves and buffets went down. At one point it had stained glass windows, 5 of them, painted on white glass by the glazier Thomas Peebles. Peebles supplied glass bands and clamps for windows, and also did Margaret Tudor's bedroom on the site. An anonymous poem in 1641 records the roof was already gone by then. At the north end there was a fireplace and an oven, a room for silver vessels brought by highfalutin aristocrats, and another served as a coal bunker. You'd wonder about the wit involved in having those side by side. Darling, James is coming over. I think we should bring out the family silver. OK, let me just find a serf to wipe it down. Master, better send for another 10 foot of cloth, master. James VI moved in 1853 and used the room for games of football. These included dignitaries, the 5th Earl of Bothwell and the 5th Earl Marischal, maybe one on each team, 5th Earl aside. The Great Hall was also known as Parliament House, on account of 2 years later James VI gathering all the local nobility to hold a parliament. And as you can see, this has been captured by Hansard in the form of a cartoon.
Right. And all the smoking pig going, and a private space for select visitors.
It's suspected that when in 1579 Margaret Douglas, widowed Countess of Arran, and her 2 orphan sons were imprisoned here, this is the room they were given. It is the King's Chamber of Deus, a quiet space where he could sit and think, do his transcendental meditation. It's reckoned the Queen had one just like it in the room directly above. So if she was in a mood, she could very well scream, "Get off your PlayStation, James! Gwa! How many space lizards do you want me to give birth to?" And though he could hear her, the hard stone meant if she slammed her foot down, it wouldn't half sting. The Queen's Chamber or Dais might have been where Mary Queen of Scots was born in 1542, and certainly she was nursed here, or so the Historical Tourist Board recalls. Passing a dodgy-looking broom closet, we step into the Chapel Royal. In April 1513, this got a new roof and a new organ, timber shipped in from Blackness Castle, which will pop up in another video. Thomas Peebles would have worked on the windows, maybe painting the ceiling too, under James V. Well, they all would have been under the ceiling. The awesome cool carvings have been set quite high up. Presumably this was to stop young ones snapping them off for a game of My First Chess Set. Unfortunately, the camera isn't yet picking up magnificent views of the loch outside, but in a minute we'll see a shot of St Michael's Church. In the reign of James I, St Michael's was used as a storeroom, Marks and Spencer's presumably. Though, like many of the monarchs, they'd rebuild the palace or church while they were there. Or, more to the point, get their working classes to do it.
This is a chapel.
These rooms would have had up tapestries and curtains with rings and cords. It's hard to imagine anything could beat what's already up here, though.
This is a chapel ante room.
I've not filmed the auntie at her request.
Very nice. Very nice.
James Hamilton of Finnart, aka the Bastard of Arran, I know, I just want to swear, was made keeper and captain of Linlithgow Palace in October 1526. Big ceremony, apparently legal, presented with stones, earth, doors shut behind him. Sounds a bit Looney Lodge to me. Anywho, 'twas he who renewed the stonework on this south tower for James V. He's also thought to be the same man who built Cadzo Castle, which I've covered in another video. Did you tap on that? It's not a link. Gotcha.
Room to nowhere.
A lot of the building's oldest stones are in this room.
Oh, mind a step. This is a southwest tower.
James Hamilton and James V also remodelled the entrance porch during their stay.
It's very tower-like. Oh, look at this beautiful view of the loch out this window. Come through and see this.
That's nice, isn't it? It's actually not bad. We walked in. I've not been all the way.
We're getting a great view of Linlithgow Pale and Loch here. It's a site of special scientific interest. The walk around the loch is 2.3 miles, takes about an hour. There's wildfowl all around, geese, mallards, rare aquatic plants, protected by conservation orders. You can fish with a permit.
So, you can see from this infographic, I'm now in the royal apartments, which seems to be where they had their parties. They had all their puffballs and their crackling and cigarettes or whatever, their big mountain cups of coffee, Nintendo or whatever they were up to. There was a trapdoor in here for some reason. I'm not sure why or where it's gone. I mean, that can't be it because that's way too small. Couldn't fit. Have to be like a... No, I'd get stuck in it, look. So like, have to be... That's trapdoor for children. Still got a beautiful view out here. Right, God, that's gorgeous.
Look out there. You'll see the statue of Arsalan.
Ah, yes. I don't know if you can pick it up in this view because of the sun, but maybe we'll get out there later and get a few frames of that. That's nice. Look at that. A fine stonework there.
The Linlithgow site infographics describe this as a Queen's presence chamber.
It's all sunrooms, like it's kind of dependent on there being it's dependent on there being no rain. If it rains in here, that's your party screwed. You have to go out to the garage.
Mary of Guelders was the widow of James II and mother of James III, and Mary of Guise was the second wife of James V, who gave birth to Mary Queen of Scots. You probably didn't need to know which royals they were, just rock up asking for James and Mary at any time.
Control and protection. I think we know what that means.
And that was probably Mary Queen of Scots when she was a babe.
Did you say 6 days old? She was queen.
She became the king. She became the queen.
Mary Stuart Scotland I was looked after by her mother here in this room until she was 7 months old. This territorial nursing helped keep in check the likes of Ralph Sadler, who was already trying to get the infant in an arranged marriage that would bring Scotland under English rule. Trump-level move there. The room has 16th century floor tiles, a fireplace added or remodelled in the 1540s, and some glazing on the windows by that fella I mentioned earlier. Yeah, he's recommended on Nextdoor.
So it's all wee rooms of wee rooms of wee rooms. It's like rooms everywhere. There's a room with more rooms in it. I'm not going to film everything.
Mary Scotland returned many times as an adult. Unlike others, she didn't commission new building work on the gaff. It was a state by the time she abdicated. James VI, the footballer, took over, and in 1607 the North Range just collapsed.
That's what it says. The stick would have come in handy for the camera. Hey? Doc, is this still fucking recording? Well, on the bright side, it's got your indubitably. So this is a view to the window. It looks to be up on the 3rd floor. There's still another floor. That looks like the top of it.
The next James oration carried out some repairs on that part between 1618 and 1622-24. The carvings we saw in the courtyard earlier were added. Interiors were painted. Friezes were added. But always through the 16th and 17th centuries, there were reports of ruin. Bit by bit, James and all the other royals were getting bored with it. As you might expect, the rot began to set in. It was diagnosed as Oliver Cromwell, who moved in for the winter of 1650 to 1651. For 5 years before, he turned the nave of the church next door into stables for his horses and billeted his soldiers in the church's gallery. In 1746, the Duke of Cumberland people left their lamps burning by the straw beds and destroyed most of the palace's buildings.
How's it going? Alright. There's very little up. Yeah. There's very little up that way. Are we at the end of the line here?
Aye. Still got a staircase there.
Ooh, I know this one. A latticed window is called a jet. 2 T's. And someone associated with this castle invented them.
More effing steps. Too many steps. But it comes out onto this cracking great view.
The Office of Works took over the site in 1874, with major repairs taking place in the 1930s and 40s. Today it's managed by Historic Environment Scotland. All this climbing has been in reaching Queen Margaret's Bower, the highest point of the Northwest Tower.
Because you haven't seen enough of the lake in this film yet.
A bower is a pleasant, shady place under trees or climbing plants in a garden or wood. This is not that. So just call it Queen Margaret's Tower and be done with it. Margaret Tudor's marriage to her love James IV unified the crowns of Scotland and England in 1503. 10 years later, James IV ignored the advice of that mad-owl mystery misogynist and went to the Battle of Flodden. Margaret was not in favour of the war either. She was preggers at the time with James V. So it's highly unlikely, or just very silly, the common story that she climbed this Bower Tower every day to look for her husband to come back. Besides, it was September and piddling rain, probably.
This is quite steep, this stairwell. But you have handrails, so if you wanna, I think there's probably not very much at the top of it. Oop.
History records James and a whole generation of Scots nobility were wiped out at Flodden. Mary became regent for a year before remarrying and raised James V, who took up ruling Scotland at 12 years old. As you do.
This is where Queen Margaret used to come for her smoke breaks. Oh, there's a shot. Look at that shot. That's fantastic. So is Accies, I suspect.
But I'm not out of breath though.
Right, proof Accies made it to the top, right? This is what has happened. All the way down. All the way to the very top. There's Accies' head level with the horizon, stretching up over the clouds. He's done it.
And I'm not out of breath too.
Down we go. A flag has been planted.